dialogue that we are hosting here at Patna, organized by the Times of India in association with IPRD Bihar. Now, the purpose of this platform really is to have a collaborative and comprehensive agenda building for the state of Bihar just before the state goes to elections, get feedback from the citizens of Bihar and sort of contribute to the vision document for Bihar at 2025. Over the next couple of days, Bihar Development
at the center of the development agenda of this government. There are 2-3 very clear mechanisms, that this government has put a large decade, which I would call transformative.
Sorry, can we all...
Thank you very much. My starting point then was inclusion by design has been, I think, the core agenda of the government in Bihar. And noticeably, Bihar is the only state that has a state-funded sanitation program. And this was designed, it was implemented only to ensure that no anyone, because the practice of open defecation is there. The government of Bihar had this vision, had this design, by which it wanted to ensure that is the whole agenda of working on women's empowerment. Sanitation, for many of us, is a general issue. It affects women disproportionately. It affects adolescent girls even more. I also note that the government of Bihar has a special program by which they are managing the special menstrual hygiene needs of adolescent girls. All of us are aware, that our girls drop out because they start menstruating, but government of Bihar has a program.
And I believe we say in development world that development is itself a contraceptive. So has it not happened, development would not happen, then this decadal growth is negative, would not have been possible. So I believe these are the few things which have been phenomenal. Secondly, as I said, that aspirations of people is phenomenal and they are very positive about it. One special quality about Bihar, when we talk about Bihar, the people are very patient. They have been waiting this kind of change in their lives, and they also know if they have something, they have to contribute also. So in 25 years, I believe that people have been having these kind of hopes, and these policies coming up have been helping them, and we believe, like say, in recent time, the target of government is making 1 lakh SHG through Jivika. It's going to directly, involving people in the
Be involved in development, not only talks like these or dialogues like these, but also on ground. And therefore, it's nice that Vijay Chaudhary ji is also here today along with the CM, who is not only looking after the IPR portfolio, but also the water and agriculture portfolio, which has gone and seen a lot of sea change. So with corporates and government and CSOs, I would argue that would be a very powerful combination, and I think this government has done a lot, and it should carry on doing more in the coming years.
Right. Coming to you, Mr. Iyer, you've seen the Panchayati Raj, you've been at the helm of affairs. Do you think there needs to be much larger linkages between people at the Gram Panchayat level, the NGOs and the government? What sort of a framework needs to exist to strengthen delivery of services?
I think there's only one word to describe the economic and social progress made by Bihar in recent years, particularly under the chief ministership of Shri Nitish Kumar, and that word is miraculous. From being at the bottom of the ladder almost, to the very top is the fastest growing state in the country. It's no longer a Bimaru state. At the same time, the social indicators have also remarkably improved. This is the pattern of development we need in our country. Not just growth, but also social justice. And this is being facilitated to a considerable extent by Jan Bhagidari, by the involvement of people in the processes of progress. However, I think there are major challenges ahead of Bihar in the immediate future. This arises principally out of tremendous financial stress. Under the 14th Finance Commission arrangements, where there has been an increase in the share of Bihar along with all other states in what is available from the central pool of tax resources, the total share of Bihar remains almost exactly what it was. In fact, it's come down somewhat because the Niti Aayog is not going to do what the Planning Commission was earlier doing, providing additional assistance to states that were in special need. Moreover, the new government in Delhi seems to have decided not to have special status for states in financial distress. The net result of this is that the responsibilities for social development, which financially were being taken to some considerable extent by the central government, are now being transferred almost entirely to the states. So without any increase, any significant increase in the financial resources available totally to Bihar, the responsibility of the state government for the social sectors like health, education, sanitation, etc., has been sharply increased. In fact, almost the entire responsibility for the 29 subjects in the 11th schedule of the Constitution have now been transferred to the state without additional money being made available to the state and without the possibility of the state being able to get additional money. So in these circumstances, there is something dramatic that needs to be done to get a bigger bang for the buck. How to make 1 rupee give much larger results than 1 rupee today is giving. There's only one way. It's been partially indicated by the Bihar government, which is the strengthening of Panchayat Raj, and above all, strengthening the role of women in Panchayat Raj. But compared to where Bihar has to reach in Panchayat Raj, I think we are still at a beginning. I would say that Bihar is about 3rd or 4th in the country with respect to Panchayat Raj. And because there are examples before us of how Panchayati Raj can be improved in Bihar, I would suggest that Shri Nitish Kumar look in the direction of Kerala and Karnataka in particular. There are other states too that can be looked at, but these 2 states. Because Kerala in particular has demonstrated the enormous advantages of Kudumbashri as a livelihood program and of people's planning as a planning system. I think both could be not adopted but adapted to Bihar with very great advantage to Jan Bhagidari. The other state that I would suggest they look at is Karnataka, which is also ahead of Bihar at the moment. And in particular, 2 things that the Karnataka government are not doing. One is to establish a Karnataka Panchayat Administrative Service. They are not doing it. I think if Bihar established a Panchayat Administrative Service, it would go a long way towards empowering the Panchayats and empowering the Gram Sabhas inside the Panchayats. Because at the moment, the social gap between the IAS and the Gram Sabha member is too great for a Gram Sabha to hold an IAS officer responsible. Even the gap between a BDO and the average member of a Gram Sabha is too large. But if the Panchayat Administrative Service was taken from the same social class that elects its own members, it will be so much easier for the elected representatives in the villages to function like the Chief Minister does in Patna, where the Chief Secretary listens to him. But in the villages, I'm afraid the Taluka President is not listened to by the BDA. Secondly, the Karnataka, it was proposed by the Ramesh Kumar Committee to the Karnataka Assembly that they should have capacity building built into the law, into the Karnataka Panchayat Raj Act. They have not accepted that. I suggest Bihar does it because a lot of work has been done on that. And if Bihar does that, then suddenly it will leapfrog to get into the front rank. And finally, there are 2 committees with which Bihar has been involved. One was the Empowered Subcommittee of the NDC, of which I was the chairman and Shri Nitish Kumar was one of the members. It is shocking that the unanimous report submitted by us to the Planning Commission has not been forwarded to the NDC. If, as Chief Minister of Bihar, Shri Nitish Kumar were to insist that the Chief Minister bring that report of which he is one of the authors, to the attention of the NDC, I think a big step forward could be taken. And second, I chaired an expert committee on leveraging Panchayat Raj institutions for the more effective supply of services and goods to the Panchayat communities. And that report has all, it's in 5 volumes, it has all the details required for Bihar to simply cherry pick what it wants and get on with it. So I think all the material is available for Bihar to be able to break out of the financial trap into which it is being put by making the rupee get a bigger bang for every paisa that is spent. And that can be done through Panchayat Raj, and I don't think there is any other state in India that is as well placed to have effective Panchayat Raj than Bihar, especially because you've liberated the women of Bihar, and the women have shown in election after election that they have a different mind to that of the man. The Bihari man is still to come to Nitish Kumar's side, but the Bihari woman has shown that she is on his side.
Infant mortality has dropped down by 33% in the last 10 years. State of women has improved. There have been a lot of policies. Has there been a mindset change in rural Bihar as well? Has there been, are the men treating the Bihari woman with respect or not?
Very good question. I would very much like to answer this question. See, Bihar had a Panchayat election after a gap of say about 25 years. So we forgot about what Panchayat Raj is all about. So for the first time it happened many years back, 15 years back. Well, how does it go? So 5 years took that way. In second term, many women came out and won elections. And we used to call them like Mukhya Pati, you know, kind of. The woman is a Mukhya, but MP, yeah. And her husband is the person actually who from the backside is supporting the need to take this decision. But in recent time, that has completely vanished, almost. I mean, it's 50% women who are elected, they take decisions themselves. So this kind of transition from that phase to this phase is significant. So no doubt about that. So I particularly believe, and those women who come from a reserve constituency or they are from the marginalized community, they are taking good lead. And tell me, I mean, just trust me, I can guarantee you those women who are actually from that community, they are really thinking of them. It is not that they are biased or something. They are really very good. They are doing more justice than the earlier Panchayat Raj representatives. So I'm very happy about it. And they are more, transparent and accessible than others.
Right. On the sanitation front, Anand Shekhar.
For many of us, is not construction of toilets. It's actually behavior change. People create new norms around stopping open defecation. That's sanitation. And that's what Government of India and Government of Bihar in conjunction is trying to achieve. Since it is a behavioral issue, there has been a lot of scope for civil society organizations to participate. Because it's not technical, it is behavioral. And what has been very good is the Government of Bihar, in its policy design, has allowed civil society organizations to prioritize behavior change. If you see the way sanitation programs are implemented in the state, it's changing. It's no more construction of toilets. It's about mobilizing community for the word to be noted is collective behavior change. The entire village environment is being encouraged by the government to change their behavior, which is radical, I would say, which is very progressive. While in many parts of the country we see latrinization, you see latrines in a village, everyone has a toilet, but still everyone defecates in open. But in Bihar, at least with many of the civil society organizations that we have partnered, I can tell you, we have hundreds of villages in Bihar where nobody defecates. There is a complete behavior change. It's a silent revolution that is going on, which needs encouragement. And on a personal level, I think the Honorable Chief Minister has prioritized sanitation from day one. I think that's one subject which is very near and dear to him. And all those who have worked in the sanitation space have been very lucky to have a progressive mind, leading this very, very empowering program. Imagine the plight of women, the plight of a young girl who has to go out and defecate. And imagine, allowing CSOs to work to help them change their behavior and then build the toilet is transformative. The kind of comfort, dignity, health, convenience that a sanitation program, very well designed by state and nicely implemented by civil society organizations, the impact that it can have can be transformative. Absolutely. And we are seeing that transformation in Bihar.
That's wonderful to hear. Professor Day.
But have technical education very precisely, if I consider, then at least now employability is there. Problem is here core sector employability is not that much. All our students from IITs, NITs and other institutes, they are going out for core sector job. Basically, so I might request to our Honorable Chief Minister, sir, at least to make some industry over here. Unless otherwise we grow our industry here, our students will not be employable in Bihar. We have to do so. So this is to say in all the eastern region, we don't have any big industry here. All the students passing out from our institute, they are very bright, they are doing very well. They are going to either Western India or Southern India or Northern India, but not in the home state. So we are losing our this main technical manpower. And sir, I want that the education and quality improvement is very much required. Especially in the science education, and here the CSOs can play a very, very big role. One of the CSO I know personally, they are working very marvelous work in the rural India. That is called Viksit Bharat Foundation, and they are not getting any government support. They are on their own with the Augusta International Foundation. They are working and they have made some mobile science lab in the rural village schools. We don't have proper science lab infrastructure. So these mobile vans are going to each and every schools and give training to the faculty, teachers and also the students.
Right.
So there is huge potential of the CSOs to work in this particular field, and I hope that it is changing very fast. I am very much hopeful that
while we are talking of the role of civil society organizations and how they can really partner with the government, one of the biggest concerns for citizens, especially for people who are looking for good Samaritans and looking to support different NGOs, is the credibility of these organizations. So, and
what we have to do is a structural change which makes the CSO the advisor to the panchayat. That the CSO has technical ability, the CSO has reach into the outer world, the CSO has experience, that it places all this at the disposal of the panchayat, and when a Gram Sabha meeting takes place, it advises the members as to what are the kind of questions to be asked and what is to be done with the information they obtain. If there is a nexus established between CSOs and the people, instead of the present nexus between the CSOs and the bureaucracy, we will get a revolution in Panchayat Raj that will be to the real advantage of the people and will take us far, far forward. This is an area that was not explored in the reports of my committee, but I think now that the CSOs have been brought so much into focus by this report that you referred to, 31 lakh CSOs in the country, that's something again that Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, present and Bhavi, may please look into.
in fact, we are are going to request the Honorable Chief Minister to take the stage in just a few minutes. We are running out of time, and I'm going to ask each one of you for your closing comments on what do you think is that one low-hanging fruit that civil society organizations in partnership with the government can easily achieve for Bihar at 2025 to ensure that the state has inclusive growth.
We as an NGO, when we go to a community or the government at local level like BDOSM, we are supposed to be master of all. This is not possible. What happens, we have to work like, आप NGO हैं, इसलिए आपको ये करना होगा, या ये कर सकते हैं. We are not expertise of everything. So, we fail NGOs on our projects just because we don't have all those technicalities under us, expertise. So we can take up certain works. It is a mapping exercise which we should do ourselves to actually contribute in a better way. Suppose my expertise lies in sanitation, we should be working more on that. Other else, what happens? You diversify yourself to sustain yourself, my NGO, because I have a staff over there. I need all the projects to sustain myself. This is the practical problem. That's why we have this problem. And government support sometimes, we are sometimes feels that we are use and throw. We are used and then government doesn't recognize us. So this is a demotivation to us. So I would request her to take this and recognize us as a power, to support you, to collaborate with you. And once community is mobilized, any program that is on grassroots level, be it health, education, sanitation, whatever, is going to have great success, that's for sure. Thanks.
Dr. Mazumdar, I have one quick question for you before we call it a wrap.
In just a few seconds, I would just like to echo what Sri Manishankar Iyer said, that a credible civil society organization or an NGO, first of all, is the track record, one. Second, I think we need to really see that the role that they're going to play henceforth in Bihar and perhaps in other parts of India, is that how are they responsive to the needs and aspirations of the most disadvantaged and bringing them closer to the panchayat. I think if we see that that is their mission and their vision in terms of doing social development, then I would certainly at a personal level say that that is an NGO or a civil society organization where we need to invest much more to build the capacity. But I think we are not yet there. I think that there is time, but I think the roadmap in terms of how the civil society organizations can play a very positive role in the development of Bihar from 2025 and onwards is to actually bridge that gap. And I would just like to echo, as I said, what Sri Manishankar Iyer said on this role of civil society.
Right, Mr. Shekhar wants to answer.
To answer that, what is it that government of Bihar should immediately engage?
And this feeds into the 30-second response that I was thinking of, the low-hanging fruit that they could do. 100% the CSOs have always been, and particularly in the recent past, been very useful in bringing this anger, if you like, of the people to the government. But on the other hand, the government also has been receptive, as we have seen in numerous areas that I and other eminent panelists have identified. However, I feel that there is more that can be done. And if you're talking about, for example, corruption, and if I were to answer that low-hanging fruit, certainly like for NGOs, sometimes in paperwork, there is an engagement with the bureaucracy and a helpline, an appropriate helpline or things like that can be established, because when the funding happens from government, then what Manishankar Iyer ji is wishing, and I second him, can be a challenge. Because when you are getting money from the bureaucracy, then there is a natural tendency that you become their agent, as opposed to a nexus with the people, which he is saying, and I second. But how do we reach that dream-worthy situation? And one could be the funding ways. The other is helplines, like I said, that can be a low-hanging fruit. Some panelists are already nodding. So that even if the money is given, at least there is some kind of a distance. And once that happens, then gradually we may move into what he said, and as I second. But CSOs were always wanting this fair and a very honest kind of governance system. And given that if government is willing to go one half, CSOs, I'm extremely confident in Bihar, would want to continue doing this so that the ultimate goal that he rightly envisaged does happen when that nexus, if we can use that his word, nexus between people and CSOs, that makes it in a very fair and transparent manner.
All right. So coming back to that original question of mine, 30-second responses from each one of you on what about the road ahead when you think of Bihar at 2000.
Government doesn't want to happen this story to go on in society, but it's present. It is society which is not taking off from that. In contrary to that, you see, there are so many other programs which government runs schemes at grassroots level, but to reach out to that program, they have to go in a certain way, which is not fair. So they are deprived of that, system. It is political will is needed to actually implement those programs so that it reaches to the needy. So it is society and the government put together has to think, make a policy, make a strict, the law works on that. Then many strict steps would certainly do that at government level as well as civil society also see the government program and do monitoring that kind of and say
Right,
should
be
be
the watchdog of
recognized. Yes, watchdog. And that should be recognized. What happens if I do that, the bureaucrats as I was talking about would blacklist me. I have a fear. I cannot just put it like that. I have a fear that I'm going to be blacklisted. This is a system.
So there needs to be transparent and clear communication
Exactly.
between.
So if I say something, it should also be recognized similar way as government people say us. So it should be a both give and take situation. It is a partnership rather than giver and taker. So this definitely will not work.
Mr. Gaurav.
Every part as per Parliament. So the corporate social responsibility expenditure, which is 20,000 crore nationally, has to be spent, including in Bihar. Why doesn't the government of Bihar link up with various corporates in their corporate social responsibility program so that this vision is further expanded and broadened and goes to the grassroots?
Mr. Iyer.
Sustain the very high rates of growth already attained, maintain the correct balance between social sector progress and economic growth, rely increasingly and on effective Panchayati Raj for the delivery, the last mile delivery of goods and services to the people, and ensure that instead of the CSOs being imposed upon the panchayats, the Gram Sabhas themselves elect the CSO or the CSOs whom they want to have elected. I think this combination will make it certain that Bihar will return by 2025 to the position it held in 1956 when Appleby said that the best administered state in India was Bihar. Getting back to that should be the name of it.
Right. Dr. Mazumdar.
Well, certainly continue to invest in children and women.
Together to make Bihar at the top of the ladder. That is.
All right. Thank you.
A lot of social points have been mentioned.